Welcome to Nice Ashes. I'm Nate.
And I'm Mike. What are we smoking today, Nate?
Boy, oh boy. I wish I knew, Mike. I wish I knew. This is a Rico Barato, and it's a torpedo, and it looks like a somewhat lighter wrapper.
It is. I, of course, forgot to look it up because we always ask these questions, and I always forget. But I will look it up here, Internet the Show.
Okay. Sometimes they'll say on the little sticker, is this the Rico Barato Connecticut Torpedo?
Yeah, I believe it is.
Okay, that looks to be what it is.
I was going to look it up because it is, in fact, the Rico Barato Connecticut Torpedo.
Yes.
That you can get for $3.64.
Nice.
So
Nice.
All right. What are you pairing your cigar with today?
I am pairing my cigar with a Venn Brewing Northodox. It is a New England IPA with Citra, Simcoe, and Mosaic hops, I guess. What about you?
I am pairing mine with a Berserk Squirrel, which is by Big Axe Brewing in Nisswa.
Oh,
they
nice.
apparently won an award for it. So
there you go. Always good to know. If it's award-winning, that is, you know.
Right. That's why I bought it.
Yeah. Marketing, man. All right, should we fire these up?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's why we're here, right?
I'm getting very strong acetone. Very strong.
Are you?
It is not pleasant at all to me.
Yeah, the very first puff was kind of the standard nutty Connecticut initial flavors, but the I don't know, the couple puffs after that does leave a very not pleasant taste on the tongue.
Well,
also, I want to say that normally the end is like, even though it's got the tobacco there and you light right there, usually it's like flat, and mine had like one or two, I don't know, beyond the cut, as it were, so it kind of looked... It doesn't. I'm sure it doesn't affect anything, but it, you know, I guess we try and talk about some of these like quality things and quality control things, if it's splitting or doing anything else goofy. So some of the filling, I guess, was either not cut all the way or some of it was kind of falling out a bit. So
I'm not going to lie, it's not looking good so far.
Well,
it's been a while since I lit a cigar, and I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, well, you know what? There's been plenty of other cigars we've smoked where the first, I don't know, inch or so maybe, half inch to an inch have been less than desirable, but then it kind of comes into its own. So here's hoping.
Yeah, we're going to give it a chance.
Yeah, is this its own brand? Is it owned by somebody else?
As far as I know, they are kind of their own brand.
Okay.
They make cheap cigars and all that. The problem with that is that it's probably not.
Probably not what?
It is American Viking Cigars economy brand. So it is owned by American Viking Cigars.
Oh, okay.
And we'll see what they all own. So Cigars Daily, the Filky Viking. So they have a whole series of cigars, most of which I have never smoked.
Okay.
But some of them look pretty good. You know, I'd smoke some of these. They have a really interesting looking barber pole that I wouldn't mind smoking. But
I'm always down to smoke a barber pole.
Yeah. I just love the package.
At a truck stop. No, I'm just kidding. Not that.
So, Nate, I think it's my topic today.
It's your topic, right?
Yep.
What is your topic? Should I tell you?
Well, I told Nate it's a meme, and it is. So the title...
Does it involve McDonald's?
It does not.
I heard he gave someone a 7th chicken nugget in the 6-piece chicken nugget.
Well, you know, you can't trust those felon reform work programs.
Yeah.
No, what we're going to talk about today is transmaxxing.
All right.
Have you heard of transmaxxing?
I've heard of it. Honestly, there's so many new words these days.
Right.
That I might just get a refresher on what exactly it is, but...
I learned one today called skibidi.
Yeah, skibidi toilet. Is it skibidi or skibbity?
I don't know. I think it's skibidi.
Maybe.
I just wanted to be funny. So, transmaxxing is the practice of adopting aspects of transgender identity explicitly for personal gain. This can be done with or without hormones, medical diagnosis, or legal changes. And the benefits that the individual perceives depends on the person.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is this like when you sent me that video of the weightlifter who claimed to be female and went in and broke the women's world record and then kind of like walked out just to, not to get the medal, but just to kind of prove how silly it is?
If he was trying to get the medal legitimately, that's what transmaxing would be.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. So we'll talk about specific examples when we get there, obviously. But yeah, I would say that like the person that he was protesting against has been accused of transmaxing.
I didn't think he was protesting against anybody. I thought it was just because this one weightlifting championship let you come and compete as anybody, and they didn't do any sort of tests or they didn't have any regulations on how long the person had or hadn't been on hormones or whatever. You know, a lot of times
that was the reason, but there was a specific person that caused the controversy, and now I can't remember their name.
Oh, sure,
but, yeah. So transmaxing, and we've talked about this concept on the show. Transmaxing started off as a meme on the internet. It was big on 4chan back in the day and on Tumblr, and there's a big Reddit forum or a Reddit thread for it. And this was a joke during the early days of the internet. I'm sure you recall the jokes about that. You know, how somebody was going to write down that they were some minority person on a job application.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So transmaxing was originally a 4chan joke that now, because our society has moved to a place where we don't question gender reassignment, that people are actually doing in real life, which should surprise no one.
Yeah, that is not surprising. Jokes becoming reality a la Idiocracy, unfortunately, is becoming more and more common.
Right.
I saw a good video. I don't know if you saw this video, Mike. It was a traffic stop in California, and the police officer asked the driver of the vehicle if they had a valid, license, as the police officer often does. And the driver of the vehicle said they didn't have a driver's license because they identified as a cat. And so the police officer said, well, does your boyfriend in the car, because they're two, what appeared to be, and looks can be deceiving and yada, yada, appeared to be two men in the car. And so the officer asked, well, does your boyfriend have a license? Does he have your license? And then the cat got upset and was like, I don't like the language you're using, the gendered language. And the police officer was like, I'm not trying to offend anybody. And then the other one was like, no, we're not a couple. He's a cat and I'm his owner. And so then the police officer said, okay, you can either show me your identification or I'm going to call the pound and have them collect your cat, and you will need to pay a $70 fee to collect your cat from the shelter, but it'll only be released after getting its vaccinations and probably spayed or neutered, your choice. And and they were like, "What? $70 is too much to afford." He's like, "Well, then give me your license." So I can write you a ticket and be on my way.
Yeah, the world is Looney Tunes. I did not see that video. You should. But
surprisingly, the police officer, I thought, handled it pretty decently, because he was not upset at them, and he was like, "Well, okay, if you identify as a cat's not supposed to be driving a car, so that's endangering the cat. So I have to call the shelter to put the cat in the shelter, and then you'll have to go pay the fee to get the cat out of the shelter, but they'll have to make sure it's up to date on its immunizations and that it's spayed and neutered, or whichever." And just kind of using logic to diffuse the situation, I suppose.
Right. Oh, that's great. So the first person we're going to talk about that's self-identified as a transmaxer is Josh Cedar. Have you heard of Josh Cedar?
Nope.
All right. So he apparently was a contestant on a game show called The Bachelorette.
I've heard of The Bachelorette.
Okay. I have as well. And that's the only reason why I looked it up. He came out this week, the week of recording, that he was fake being trans for the last half a year.
Okay.
And the media was fake outraged, of course. And there's multiple articles, mainstream articles, and I read one by the New York Post, and there's a few others from a few months ago saying how brave she was and attacking online people for calling him a faker, you know? And
But he came out as a faker, right?
But he came out as a faker now. Yeah, these articles are from
now.
3-4 months ago. Yeah, he came out this
got it.
week as a faker. And, of course, the internet forums were always questioning his story. And now, there's backlash because he was stealing trans identity or something like that.
But so, like, what did he gain from it?
He is a conservative, and he wanted to do a political stunt against the wacky left.
Okay.
Those are his words, not mine, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did him, I mean, because everybody knew he was conservative.
Everybody knew. I don't think so. He was like a tattooed muscle guy on a game show, right? Like a dating show.
Yeah. Okay, sure.
So
but I mean, being on The Bachelorette is likely going to make you popular enough in certain segments of the country, right? Or the demographics. Not popular with me, but I know there's a certain demographic that watches that show. So you're going to have kind of the internet fame anyway. So it really, maybe, I guess he got some more followers because of that, but
I think it was more
I don't know. More as a stunt.
As
or
a
like
stunt,
look how silly everybody is, but
this instance isn't the meat and potatoes of transmaxing, but it's what
it's one of the more recent ones, I guess, right?
It's one of the more recent ones, and it kind of triggered me to get back into the topic because I wrote this down like a year and a half ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we have vastly different internet search histories, I feel, Mike. Vastly different.
Probably. So now here's a real deal transmaxer. And this is an Ecuadorian journalist named Rene Salinares Ramos. Have you heard of this person?
I have not.
So, Mr. Ramos is a 47-year-old Ecuadorian journalist who legally changed her gender to female in 2022.
Okay.
She is not undergoing any hormone therapy, has no desire to, and has one purpose for changing her gender. Can you guess what it is?
And has done what for changing her gender?
Oh, has undergone no surgery or any psychiatric evaluation and has one reason for changing the gender. Why do you think Ramos is changing her gender?
And a journalist.
Yep. 47-year-old, formerly male journalist who is in Ecuador.
In Ecuador, yeah. Does it have anything to do with, first guess is, does it have anything to do with like better benefits? Or number two, they're the first ones off the ship, right? When the ship goes down?
Well, as it happens to be, Renee is in a child custody battle, and women usually get custody of their children. And Renee Ramos would like split custody of their children with their ex-wife.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so how is...
Go ahead.
But I don't... okay. So this one doesn't seem to be like nefarious reasons, really. Transmaxing, pretending to be trans to get your own gain, I guess that fits the bill, but it's not like it's a prank against the, woke left, or it's not they're a washed up sports athlete. So if they identify as female, then maybe they can still win, It's taking... Well, and so even Ecuador, I mean, here in America, women generally get the custody too. So I don't know that I have an issue with this one.
I don't have an issue with it at all. It's kind of hilarious.
I mean, so like the stats are that I don't know, the stats, and this isn't the point of the episode, but the stats for having an active father in a child's life show that that's beneficial.
Absolutely.
So I feel like the custody of kids thing is one of those laws. I don't know if it's a law, but one of those like court preferences that needs to be updated to modern times, because I think it's silly to say, well, the kid should be with the mom.
I agree. I think not everybody agrees, but a lot of people agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on, of course, the dad and the mom, right? But so you can have deadbeat dads and abusive dads, and you can have deadbeat moms and abusive moms. So
I agree. And of course, Renee, just as a closer, has received multiple threats and has very significant backlash for their actions.
Yeah, well, they're also in Ecuador.
Right.
I mean, it's like the Olympic athlete that everybody thought was trans.
Yeah. I can't remember her name now.
Yeah, but they were from a restrictive country that would not take favorably to that, so...
No. So now there's another case, and this individual's name is Sammy, And BBC4 did a mini documentary on Sammy. Sammy was a very thin, balding gay man who transitioned to being a woman, not because she or he was confused, but because the HRT would allow him to regrow some of his hair and get dates with men more easily.
Okay.
Sammy also said that she had cheaper car insurance and that getting promoted at her job was easier.
Yeah, all those things are valid, I suppose.
Yeah, and this is like we're going to use this to jump into an article, but
okay.
This is like the stereotypical transmaxer, the real life transmaxer.
Yeah.
Because
so Sammy's not necessarily getting any surgeries. They just wanted the HRT to regrow hair.
They wanted the HRT to regrow hair and to be able to present as a woman to get dates with men.
Oh, okay.
Because he, as a thin, balding gay man, he wasn't getting any dates.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and people are apparently very upset with Sammy because...
Well, why aren't they upset about the car insurance rates?
Right? Why aren't they mad that DEI policies means that Sammy is happy that he's a woman now?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, let's just take it at the car insurance level. Why are men having to pay more in car insurance if everything's equal?
Right.
And statistically, women are worse drivers. We talked about this on the show too, but the crashes men have are generally at higher speeds than the accidents women have. So even though women have more of the accidents, they're at lower speed and less loss of life and limb, I guess. But still, those statistics are fine. But we start bringing in other statistics and everybody's upset.
Well, only 50% of the facts matter, okay?
That's like your opinion, man.
I will not take this aggression.
All right, Transmaxxing, we need to get off the dude for a minute.
Yep. Yes, we do. So as you can imagine, it's really hard to find people who have admitted to transmaxing.
Yeah.
But the Daily Caller felt it was okay to write an article about transmaxers, and they sourced anonymous incels who apparently are transitioning to get dates with women.
Oh, okay.
And this was repeated by the National Review. And you can read the article for yourself if you really want to. But it's a very strange claim that supposed straight incel men are transitioning to women to get date with straight women. It's very bizarre.
How is that even supposed to work?
I have no idea. Because
I could understand if they were transitioning to women to get dates with lesbian women, but how, as a woman, are they going to get a date with a straight woman?
It's the National Review and the Daily Caller. I think that's the answer. Like, it's not...
Yeah.
I don't think they actually interviewed anybody. I think they wanted to play into the culture war.
Sure.
When there's like a handful of people who have admitted to doing it, and it's really hard to find them. And even some of them don't self-admit, even when they
did it, and they admitted they did it, and then they sat there and thought about it, and they were like, actually, I haven't gotten any dates with straight women as a woman. I don't know why I thought this would work. What have I done?
Right. Yeah, I don't think lesbians want to go on dates with trans women, for the most part.
Yeah, but they're saying they want to go on dates with straight women, so...
Well, right. They just want to go on dates with women, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to be a trans woman trying to date a straight woman. So not only do you have to find a straight woman, but you have to then try and flip her to be a lesbian or something, as if this was some kind of intergalactic game of pawns and spice and my Dune, my Arrakis, my lesbian space witches. No, that's Star Wars. I'm sorry.
Right. It's crazy. I think that the Daily Caller interviewed some 4chaners. It was a prank, I'm pretty sure.
Mike.
Yeah.
Speaking about transitioning, where are you at in your cigar?
I'm glad you asked, because I am about halfway.
Me too. Me too. I don't know that it's gotten any better.
It hasn't gotten better, but my taste buds are starting to die off, so it doesn't bother me as much.
So it hasn't gotten worse, but it has not gotten better.
No, it's terrible. I haven't even been drinking out of the beer because I don't want to make the beer taste bad.
Oh, I've been drinking the beer quite heavily because it tastes bad. Not the beer, the cigar.
Oh, I do not recommend. I can already tell you guys, it's not going to get a good score.
No, I would still rather at this point, because I mean, there's still half of the stick that it could actually get worse. But I would still smoke this before the Cult Blood Red Moon.
Oh, certainly. Cult Blood Red Moon was just offensive. This is not good, but it's
The Cult
bad.
Blood Red Moon is a pile of garbage transmaxing as a cigar. It identifies as a cigar, and you should not smoke it.
It is, actively trying to harm you, I think is...
It's something. It's trying to do something.
Yeah, it's terrible. So there's two other people I would like to discuss, and these are not necessarily transmaxers. One has been accused of transmaxing, and the other is known for something else. So people have accused Dylan Mulvaney of being a transmaxer, believe it or not. And
Okay.
a lot of really hardcore feminists hate Dylan Mulvaney because she exaggerates female stereotypes for clicks on the internet. And they use that as evidence that Dylan is not, in fact, a genuine trans person. That and like the tampon stuff and the fame that
From
she
the Budweiser
received.
stuff or what?
From before that, even, she was a guest of the Biden White House.
Okay.
Yeah, she became like a social media influencer based on the idea that she was transitioning and documenting it live, right?
Yeah. I know that there are plenty of women out there who use the female stereotypes to their advantage in situations when they think those stereotypes can be easily exploited to their benefit. I'm thinking of, let's just say, predominantly white women in almost any interaction with the police.
You were being very kind in that example, but yes.
Right. And and I also know that there are a ton of men that exploit male stereotypes to say, get out of doing household chores, perhaps, or whatever they do, right? So why wouldn't a trans woman also exploit female stereotypes? I guess. Right. And I don't know anything about Dylan Mulvaney other than what we've talked about on the show and like the Bud Light stuff. And apparently they helped Bud Light sell a fuck ton of beer because all the conservative rednecks bought beer to shoot with their shotguns. And Bud Light doesn't care if you're drinking it or shooting it. You still bought it. So good for them for padding Budweiser's bottom line.
Yeah, I don't have anything against Dylan Mulvaney, and I'm not saying that Dylan is or is not a transmaxer.
No, I'm just
I don't
pointing
know.
out. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to point out some of the hypocrisy where it's like, well, if you're of this gender from birth, you can exploit the stereotypes, but if you're not, then you can't. You can't trade your stereotypes for the new stereotypes of your new assigned gender or whatever. It's like, well, okay then.
Right. Well, Dylan's going to do, whether Dylan is legitimate or not, is going to do the same behavior because Dylan's the type of person that they are. So
Yeah.
But like I
But
say,
you
it's,
can't have it both ways. You can't say we need to accept all trans people except this one who's using female stereotypes, even though they weren't born a female. Well, of course they can use female stereotypes. That's why you have fucking drag queens, and that's just men exploiting female stereotypes for fun. Not in like a nasty way, right? Like they're not a stand-up comic or an incel in their mom's basement posting hateful things about women. They're just using those stereotypes to get into character to entertain people, right?
right.
As far as I know. I'm no drag queen transmaxing expert. But, all of the ones so far have seemed pretty benign. Not like, oh, this person claimed to be trans and they walked off with the Declaration of Independence somehow.
Right. And I grabbed high-profile cases that were lighthearted because there's all these apocryphal stories that don't actually have any evidence where it's like, oh, this scary man went into the woman's bathroom with the wig on or whatever.
Yeah.
Like there's going to be crazy people that do stuff no matter what.
It's
So-
Halloween, Karen. Just let them have their fun. Just kidding.
Well,
It is not Halloween. There's
psychos and predators no matter what you do. You're never going to change that. So
yeah.
that's more of a that person problem than it is like a trend or something.
Yeah, and just because the national media or even your local media picked something up doesn't mean it's an actual thing that's happening widespread.
Oh,
You know,
right.
stories can be sensationalized, and it happened like once.
Right. The transmaxing is definitely part of the culture war, and I view it as entertainment because I don't know to what extent it's real. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's as real as almost any other PR stunt out there.
Right.
I guess.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I would say that's true. So I'm going to skip over the last one I want to talk about. She wasn't a transmaxer. It was Rachel Dolezal, who claims to be transracial, but we don't need to get into that. That could be a whole episode.
Is that
on its
the
own.
one that pretended to be black?
Yes. Yeah, she was head of the NAACP in like Washington.
Yeah.
And she was a teacher.
I remember
and then
that.
She lost her job, so she moved down to Arizona, and then she got fired again because she started an OnlyFans.
Sure.
And all this interesting stuff, which I think it's unfair to her, by the way, because she's just trying to live her life.
I don't think pretending to be black is a good thing if you're not for your job or whatever, right? But if you want to go and start your own OnlyFans later, then who cares, I guess.
No, I mean, the question with Rachel Dolezal is I don't think that she was pretending to be black. I mean, she like didn't associate with her family, and she had like these kids and this husband and this whole lifestyle based around like her identity as a black woman. So it's a very interesting case study.
Okay.
Because
I'm sure there's more depth to it than the media made out to be.
Yeah. It wasn't like some crazy lady. Like, she was trying to do good things in her community and live a normal life. She just happened to be like a big-nosed blonde woman from Montana, I think, instead of a black woman. So, always interesting.
Yeah, I guess that one would probably require a little bit deeper dive. Because I know the news media certainly kind of took that one and ran with it. Like, oh, the head of the NAACP is a white woman.
Oh, yeah. It's a great story on the face of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I have to say that for sure.
Yeah, that's clickbait that gets clicked.
Oh, right. So I would be a liar if I told you I didn't look up Rachel Dolezal OnlyFans to see if what was available. Because why not, you know?
It's out there, man.
Yeah, you just do an image search and look at like 2 pictures and you know what it's all about.
Yeah, you do an image search, or there's people that there's a large group, and I don't know because I don't really care, but there's a large group of fighters out there on the internet that will find all of these girls' OnlyFans pages. They will track down the real names and stuff and then report them to the IRS, and also make their content available for free on different torrenting sites.
I've heard of that. I have heard of that.
So there hasn't been anyone that I've heard of that's on OnlyFans that I've been even moderately interested in trying to look up. So I just haven't. But I've seen, memes or people talking about, don't be what do they call it? What do they call it when you, don't be a simp. Don't be a simp for an OnlyFans girl. Report them to the IRS, so.
Right. I've seen the memes.
Yeah.
I've heard the stories. I've never looked up. I haven't had a torrent on my computer for a very long time.
Man, I've never had a torrent on my computer.
Really?
Everyone hear that? Did everyone hear that? IRS, you heard that? FBI, you heard that?
I've torrented the program and nothing else. I don't even know how they work.
I don't even know what it is, man. How does the internet happen?
It's impossible.
I know in the 90s I used to have to murder a robot to get access to the internet because the thing would just scream at you.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah. And then your mom wanted to make a call upstairs and like the JPEG was only half loaded. So you couldn't even see the nipples,
Yep. Trying to download a 12 kilobyte file.
Yeah, 12 kilobyte Tom Selleck shirtless picture. Didn't even get to his nipples.
Oh, my. So, it was hard to find.
Got Mike distracted with the Tom Selleck reference out of nowhere. He's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, we went off the rails, son.
We're talking about transmaxing, and now Tom Selleck is here.
Oh, what the hell? He's not transmaxing. He's just maxing.
Maxing.
So I looked up a document called the Transmaxxing Manifesto.
Of course.
And this was...
I'm sure it's similar to Project 2025 in its scope in its scope and expert panel that contributed.
It was referenced in the BBC Channel 4 documentary.
Oh, okay.
So he's like, oh, so this is like Main Street Media looked this up. And it's a document that you can find on Scribd.
All right.
And we're going to go over the rules or the benefits of transmaxing. We're not going to go over the whole document, but I will preload that the stories they tell about real life transmaxers at the end are hilarious. Because they'll have like before and after pictures. It'll be like, me, transmax 4 months in. It'll be like a dude and this woman that's clearly not that guy.
Nice.
It's just hilarious. It's definitely like a meme. It's a meme that made it onto the BBC.
Yeah.
So we are going to go over the benefits that the Transmaxxing Manifesto gives, and you cut in at any time.
Okay. I hope regrowing hair is one because I would like that to happen to me.
I can't remember if it's on there or not. But we're going to find out. So the first one is really weird. Sexual excitement from having a feminine body. And then the second one is the superiority of female aesthetics, which is kind of the same.
But are they talking like body or are they talking like being able to have candles in your home and nobody judging you as a man?
That might be it. We're going to go with that one. That makes more sense.
Okay. You walk into your bro's house, you're like, man, kind of girly in here. I'm trans. My apologies, good sir. Ma'am, you have as many candles as you want. I mean, I've never made fun of anybody for having candles in their house because I too like candles, but I don't light them very often.
We're just not the kind of guys that go to people's houses and make fun of them for what's in it.
That's valid point. Valid point.
Yeah, like I really don't care what's in there.
Yeah, as long as it's all legal stuff, right? Like,
yeah.
if I walk into Diddy's house, it's a different story. But
yes, I was thinking like if you walk into Uncle Ted's house and see some illegal shit, it's probably the cool kind. But
yeah, maybe depending on the uncle, is he Catholic or not?
I don't think Ted Nugent is Catholic.
No, not him. He's got cat scratch fever.
Wow. So they have another one, and this is like gets into memeology, full body orgasms. You know, because when you transition to being a woman, you become a woman.
How though?
It's a meme. Come on.
I know, man, but like even as a meme, to be a funny meme, it's got to have some basis in like reality, right? Like you can't just transition to a woman and be like, oh, now I can have multiple orgasms.
Well, that's a lie because number 5
I'll
is
have what
multiple
she's
orgasms from penile stimulation. You know, because you transition to being a woman, so now you can have full body and multiple orgasms at the same time.
Okay. I'll consider myself corrected.
I think it's a play on the idea that some of the activists say that trans women are real women.
And can give birth and menstruate?
Yes. Yeah.
But where do they put the tampon again?
You'll have to ask Dylan Mulvaney.
I don't think we have enough followers for Dylan to even respond. But you know what? I can try.
Well, that's all you can, you know?
That's a great first opener. Hey Dylan, we had a question on the show. Where does the tampon go?
And why are you bleeding once a month from there?
I think you're not using enough of something, but I'm not going to mention what it might be.
Yes.
You can ask Diddy though.
Oh my God. Oh man, we're not getting invited. Anyway.
No, probably not.
Yeah.
Unless Dylan smokes cigars, then we'll see, but let's go. Next manifesto point, Mike.
All right.
Before you let me ramble.
Emotions stronger and be happier on estrogen, which I think is the opposite of what most trans people report, but that's okay.
Yeah. You can. So that one, even though I'm aware this is a meme and a funny thing, but that one I think is slowly changing to where men are able to show emotion and not be thought a lesser person or lesser being, I guess, right?
Certain kinds of emotion.
Yeah. Sensitive emotions, not angry emotions.
Right.
I swear to God, this last puff on this cigar was the worst thing I've had in my mouth since Scout Camp.
It's not very good. I'm letting it cool. I still
I'm
have
gonna
2
let
inches
this one
left.
cool. Yeah, me too, man. But the last puff I took was terrible. Like, oh.
It's not the best. So the next one is your breasts will become sensitive, which is probably true. Probably true.
Probably true.
Being able to
Nipples
attract...
are sensitive on their own, from what I gather.
That's what I've been told in the stories.
Yes. Not a lot of people out there playing with man nipples, but
Yes. These next two...
back when I got a purple nurple, it hurt. I'll tell you that.
Oh, my. So I have a double header here. They split it into two, but I'm going to put it into one.
Okay.
If
This
you
is
become
Mike's editing
attractive
of the
enough...
manifesto.
Yeah, I have to edit it because it's repetitive. It's a meme. If you become attractive enough, you will be able to attract cis lesbians and high-quality males simultaneously.
Yeah, that's what I, as an introvert, want. I want everybody coming over to me.
Yes.
How many pages is this manifesto, Mike?
It has 17 points.
Oh, okay.
18 points.
So it's not like Project 2025 where it was
No.
like a million pages long.
Thank God, no.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah. It says that you'll get softer skin and less or no acne. No idea if that's true. They claim that.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought men had less acne overall than women, but that might not be true.
This says that you will live longer, which they linked a actual government study that showed that men taking hormone blockers live 10% longer.
Probably because we're not trying to mod out our riding lawnmowers and race the neighbor.
Possibly, yeah. The next one is great. It's being able to extract resources from males.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind a sugar daddy. The kind like, send me pictures of your feet and here's like 10K. Okay. Do what you want with my foot pic. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, so any listener, $10,000, you can get pictures of my feet.
There we go.
Just putting that out there.
Everybody has a price.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gay, but $20 is $20.
That's what I heard.
From a show. It's a quote from a show. Carry on.
All right. 13. You will no longer be driven to do dangerous and idiotic things due to testosterone.
Man, that's the best part of testosterone.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think it's going to stop any dangerous behavior, but whatever. This is the one that you would be interested in. Stop and reverse hair loss.
Yes. I don't know why the hair on the top of my head left there and went everywhere else, but couldn't some of it just go back?
What I want to know is why is the hair that's left going gray?
There's nothing wrong with going gray. For any gender, I don't think going gray is an issue.
Not anymore.
Not like it used to be.
No, I don't think going bald's an issue either. So.
No, I don't think so either. It certainly hasn't hindered my life.
No, maybe in some circles.
That I know of.
Yeah. So the next one we could argue about. People will treat you better if they think you are female.
That's why Elliot Page looks so happy all the time.
Right. I don't think that transgender people get treated better. I mean, I don't think that there's like some sort of like government conspiracy against trans people, but socially they definitely have a more difficult time most of the time, I'm going to guess.
Yeah, I guess that one probably depends on where they live and where they work. If they work for Boeing or Sweet Baby Inc., then being trans is fantastic, and sure, you go bolt this engine on this airplane. You got this, girl. But I think a lot of other places is probably not as socially acceptable.
No, I'm going to guess that your construction site is going to be a little rougher place. I have worked with some transgender people, and they definitely had a hard time on the job from some people.
Yeah.
Not me, but some people.
Yeah. I generally, if you're competent and can just do the stuff you're supposed to do and mostly leave me alone, then I don't care. I don't want to know. It doesn't matter to me. But the same goes for talking about their pets and their kids. Like, can you get the report done or not? I don't need to know about your child or your cat, or just do the thing so I can go live my life at home after work.
I agree. They link to a NIH study that shows that the murder rate for males is higher than the murder rate for transgender people. And they say that you're less likely to get killed, which is possible. I don't really know.
I mean, that's probably true, but I feel like that's a correlation, not causation type of thing. Like there's fewer trans people, and so of course less of them will be killed.
I would say it's probably legit.
Yeah.
This one is hilarious. 17 is funny. Female spaces are cleaner and generally more pleasant, not having to shower with males.
Yeah. I mean, possibly. I mean, I've heard horror stories about women's restrooms, and I've heard horror stories about men's restrooms. It kind of depends. Like, the men's restroom at First Ave is not great, but I don't know that the women's restroom is any better.
Probably not.
Probably not.
And then number 18, the last on the list. As legal sex change becomes more viable, You will have access to cheaper car insurance, getting diversity hired, etc.
Yeah, which unfortunately is actually all true.
Yeah, it is. So, and then they go off into trying to purposefully develop autogynephilia and weird shit like that. It's funny. You have to, it's pretty funny. But those are not in the 18 things that are directly in the manifesto. These are
the
like
supplemental.
Yeah, supplemental work that you can read on your own time.
For further reading, please see.
For further reading, yeah.
Autogynecology, whatever the fuck.
For those of you who want to be tracked by the same cookies that I get tracked by, I guess, you can look it up on Scribd.
Yeah. Use incognito browsing.
I don't think that helps.
No, not according to Google, who's like, we don't sell all that information. We keep on your incognito sessions. It's like, what?
Yep.
But I try not to use Google. It says the Android user, so take that for what it's worth.
Right. And that's, I mean, we've talked about it. It's almost too late for that to be a concern.
They're all just as evil, I guess, right?
Yeah. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And if you're not online, you really are hindering your ability to interact with society. So
yeah,
it's not going to be
And
helpful.
if you're not online, you don't get targeted ads. So I don't know. I had a conversation with one of my buddies, and he was like, oh, yeah, and he's a single guy. He's, I think, 8 years older than I am. Single guy, loves video games, and that's about it, And he's like, oh, yeah, I turned off targeted ads, and I started getting ads for, like, Ninja diapers and stuff for kids because they're not, like, targeting my demographic. And so I'm just going to turn targeted ads back on because why wouldn't I want to see stuff I'm interested in? I'm not going to buy it, but I don't want to watch a diaper commercial, so I'll watch a commercial about something I like,
Right. And when you mentioned Alexa and the home assistants and how people are paranoid about it, which is legit, but at the same time, this is like
everything.
The thing that we wanted. You know what I mean? Like everybody wanted that. And
yeah, it's funny because like our parents' generation loved Star Trek, and they were like, "Oh, I can't wait till computers get to the point where I can just go computer, display, blah blah blah, or computer, Earl Grey, hot," And then it comes, and they're like, "I don't want that thing in my house. It listed it to be." And I'm like, "Well, what do you think it's doing in Star Trek, man? Like, you're the ones that made it. You made Star Trek. Like, you put it out there for us to build and develop and said you wanted it so bad, and now you don't want it."
Yeah. How about we elect some politicians that'll make reasonable regulations, and then we'd use it anyway? Like people, I've had multiple
why don't we elect
people
politicians that can say no to Mark Zuckerberg?
Right. Elect Bobby Kennedy. Ha ha ha. I've had multiple people get very upset coming into my house because we have the speakers everywhere and you can talk and turn lights on and everything. And they're like, oh no, this is evil. And it's like, what do you mean it's evil? It's cool as shit.
Yeah.
I can increase my thermometer with my voice or remotely. Like, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the smart thermostat because I can do it from anywhere. If we're out for the weekend, I turned it to, like, in the summer, it keeps it pretty warm in the house, but not too warm because we have a cat. And in the winter, it keeps it really cold, but not too cold because we have a cat. But then when we leave wherever we're staying, I put it back to like home mode so that by the time we're home, the house is like the temperature we want it to be. So.
Oh yeah, and when we're gone, we automate lights to pretend that we're here, and
yeah,
it's cool.
Because all the people driving up your driveway in the middle of nowhere is like, oh nope, the lights just came on. I imagine the sticky bandits, the wet bandits from Home Alone. Nope. Remember when he's got the whole list? He's like, that house, and he points, and the lights go on, and that house, and the lights go on, because he knows all the timers.
Yep.
But the good thing with like Alexa and the smart home automation is you could just tell it. You could create a routine to say, turn the lights on at sundown, which changes by, a minute or so every day, right?
Right. That's true. I don't think I have to worry about it. Even the UPS guy today walked up to the house and didn't drive in because of the dog.
Yeah.
So.
And the sign that says there will be no warning shots because ammunition is expensive.
Well, I had to make it 8x4 because that's what plywood comes in.
Yeah.
So we debated it the whole time, and we can discuss it one last time as we finish this cigar. Is transmaxing, number one, is it a real problem? Because a lot of athletes are getting accused of it, and we're not going to talk about any specifics. And apparently there are cases, and it's growing, but most of the examples that I found were not necessarily nefarious actors trying to harm anybody, right? They were doing it for self-gain, which is what we do in our society in general.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, there's a theory I kind of had in my head, but there's also a whole episode, and I know this show's kind of been like, oh, we removed the laugh track just to show you how funny it isn't. Well, it's not a laugh track. It was filmed in front of a live studio audience, so there's that. But there's a whole episode of Friends where Phoebe was trying to do an unselfish act. And Joey kept saying, well, you donate all that money. And she's like, yeah, and that sucked because it was all the money I had. And he's like, but you feel good about it, don't you? And she's like, yeah, damn it. So there's not really like an unselfish act. You know, even if you do stuff that has like a negative impact on you, you can still feel good about it, which then therefore is still selfish. So anyone who's altering their life for whatever the reasons are, whether it's to transmax, or, you know, to get cheaper car insurance, or because they really believe they were born in the wrong body, I don't think the motivation is any different. It's still for personal gain.
it is. And our whole society is set up to do everything for personal gain, right? So,
Well, that's what evolution created us to be, basically.
right. So I can't knock them for doing it. I know that I've made jokes about it. When I was in college, I put on my application that I was African American a few times. It didn't help me get into college, but
Yeah.
I put it on there all the same because the meme was alive and well in the early
Yes.
aughts, you know?
Yep.
There's hadn't been enough people doing it to make it to the news cycle, right?
Yeah, and the news cycle and the news media and the interest groups and stuff hadn't made it to the point where now I can't remember the name of the college now. They said 75% of their new incoming class was going to be diverse, which left only 25% of the seats open for white people, white men.
That's only
And
if
that's
they
their-
don't claim to be something else. And
I understand. I'm saying
Yeah.
that is now official policy at one of the top universities in the United States. So it's come a long way from it being a joke, right?
right.
to it now being where transmaxing might actually be a legitimate way to have the same future as everybody else now, but for white people. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if this gets into the whole thing with the white privilege. I don't know that there is really such a thing as white privilege for people of certain socioeconomic classes, right? Like there's a income cutoff somewhere for that. I think there has to be, right?
Part of the concept of white privilege is that it's privilege that's independent of your social class, that's based purely on whiteness. So it's like a perceived benefit when you're dealing with police or public officials or something. And I don't know if being poor immediately makes you a target for like police. I don't know if being not white immediately makes you a target, but that's the idea behind it, right? Like I'm not defending it as a concept. I would say that the benefit you get from, if you do get benefit from white privilege is seriously outweighed by economic factors, for sure.
Yeah.
And I know that in public policy, if you address economic factors, you're going to address all the other issues as well. So
Yeah.
it just makes sense to do it in a way
All
that
I
is
know,
fair.
man, is I was at the store the other day. Somebody asked me if I played basketball, and I was like, you check your privilege. This is not the book Sparked. You check your privilege. How dare you assume I'm an athlete? How dare you?
I know the other day I was talking to my grandmother, and she told me, it doesn't matter what anybody says, transmaxing is the way to go.
Well, you listen to Nana.
So that's all I have for the topic, and my cigar is really hot, and I don't want to finish it. I have about an inch left.
Yeah, I don't want to tell you this, Mike, but I'm going to because there are no secrets between us. Mine went out, and I just didn't bother to relight it because it was terrible. But yeah, I've probably got like an inch and a half left. And I was like, I'm not doing it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I won't do it. I don't want to do it. But the question then is, I don't know. Is it a 1? Oh, I see what you did. You know what? I'll do the same thing because why not? This is Copy Mike the Show. But we both give it a 1.25 because it's not like as bad as the Cult Blood Red Moon, but this is really, there was not any pleasant puff off the entirety of the stick. The whole thing was bad.
The reason why I gave it a 1.25.
It got worse.
I thought that the last 2 inches was better than the first 3/4, but I'm not sure if it was because it actually got better or because I just stopped tasting the bad parts because I'd smoked that much of it.
Yeah, see, and I thought the last maybe 2 or 3 inches were the worst part of the whole thing. So I suffered through the rest of it. That was not good to get to an even worse part.
Yeah.
So
this is not recommended. It tastes like acetone.
Yeah,
the whole way through.
I would recommend Transmaxxing before I recommend you smoke this thing.
No judgment on my part.
You listen to Mike's grandmother now.
That's right.
All right, well, thanks for listening. Don't smoke this fucking cigar. It's terrible.
Be safe, have fun.